is so relaxed that he doesn't even come. Like it's the day, the culmination that will determine Tibet for the next, as you see, 1,300 years. Or it was simply a display of power, that the greatest among all doesn't come. He just sends his students. They will manage just fine. Most of humanity, if you look in the big scale of humanity over history, believes in a spiritual tradition. So what's the catch? Why is it that most people believe in something that's apparently contradictory? Apparently matter is above spirit, and yet everybody believes, at least to a degree, in a spiritual tradition. One of the answers to these questions is miracles. Miracles are basically an expression of mind over matter, and more than that, soul and spirit over matter. And those moments of spiritual miracles stand as the baseline of almost every spiritual tradition. It stands there in the core of the belief, and the belief is revealed. In accordance to that miracle, we can see that spirit is above matter in that way. Christ resurrected. The bush did not burn, and therefore reality is like that. So the miracles have a tremendous psychological importance and a tremendous factor of unity when it comes to all of world traditions.
We will talk in this first series of our lectures on epic spiritual moments about miracle competitions. One thing is you have a miracle, that's already very amazing. Miracles are like a proof for your spiritual size, if you will, for your spiritual accomplishment. But then a whole nother thing is if those miracles, they happen at will, summoned within the context of a competition where you are face to face with another super accomplished being. Within the lecture today, we want to give you a nice overview throughout different traditions and hopefully spark your interest in these accomplishments so that also you can start practicing in that direction. That is always the point in the end of the day.
A similar conversion of an entire country from one religion to another, a conversion that stayed also until today, is that of Padmashambava and Tibet. So, somewhere probably 8th century, Tibet has an emperor which is Buddhist and ministers which are from the Bon tradition. So there's a very delicate power there. The Bon is a shamanic tradition, and Buddhism, I assume, you know. And the king is trying to build a monastery and to bring Buddhism to the nation, but the ministers of Bon and the old priests, they oppose. So the king invites, who he considers the greatest Buddhist master, the greatest Buddhist saint, to the nation, and that is the great Padmashambava, Padma lotus, Shambhava born of. So the man who is born from a lotus, it is described that he did not come out from a womb, but from the lotus flower he was born. He was already an accomplished master. He studied with Nagarjuna and with other masters in India at the time. He was, as we will see, with Mandarava, with the Princess-Mandarava already, and did a lot of conversions, and also was in a lot of trouble already. They tried to burn him several times, but having enough paranormal powers, he escaped every time in very gracious ways. So he's brought to, he's invited to Tibet, and he accepts the offer. He teaches the Dharma, the Buddhist Dharma, and also bestows his great power as a spiritual teacher on a group of very devoted disciples. And then the conflict between the Bon and the Buddhism becomes very ignited. There's many conversions, and somehow the status quo is broken, and there's a lot of tension. And first they have a debate, and then they say, okay, we make a miracle competition.
Wherever you're watching this video, please like and subscribe. hit the bell and all the little buttons that you could possibly...
We encourage you to hit the bell.
And for sure subscribe also.
Subscribe. Yes. Padmashambava, being Padmashambava, he's called the second Buddha. He is so relaxed that he doesn't even come to the miracle competition. He says, well, I send my students. I don't know what he was busy with, particularly on that day. Like it's the day, the culmination that will determine Tibet for the next, as you see, 1,300 years. Everything was decided on that day, and he was busy with something else. Or it was simply a display of power, that the greatest among all doesn't come. He just sends his students. They will manage just fine. His disciples are there. They are Mahasiddha's great accomplished beings, and there are a few groups, one group of 25, another group of 8, and they are all led by the lover, one of the lovers of Padmashambava. He had 5,000 lovers. 5 he loved the most, and out of which 2 he loved the most. Yeshe Tsogyal, his beloved, was there to lead them. Yeshe Tsogyal herself was a great master. Just to give you one example from her life, she was once raped by 7 robbers while she was in the cave, and she had such a wonderful tantric control over her erotic energy that they all became her disciples, and then they continue to follow her throughout the book. Me and the 7 thieves, we go there, me and my 7 new disciples, and they attain enlightenment. By the end of that book, they were lucky to be sinful in the right place, and she was very, very compassionate, and she could just play with their energy in such a majestic way. So Yeshe Tsogyal, the lover of Padmashambava, his consort, is there leading the group, and they make it, they try to be very extravagant, and they all do different miracles. One is walking on the sunlight, another one walking on the water, another one levitating, one they would have this, they would write a mantra on the foot, and they would go extremely fast. So he goes to all the 4 corners of the earth and comes back with presents instantaneously. He goes like that. Another one was chewing stones like they were bubble gum. Another one brought 13. They have long Tibetan names which I did not memorize. And even if I would, probably not come out well as pronunciation. So they all have names there. I will just continue to call them, and another one. So, and another one, he had lightnings, 13 lightnings he made simultaneously, and he can move them like disco lights with his fingers. They would turn, like Prophet Elijah, water into fire, and then again fire into water, all at will. The Bon prophets were like, oh okay, oh dear. What did we enter to? They got very, very angry, and they did their magic. They had a black magic to kill people. So they killed 9 monks with a certain spell. That was their display, not as extravagant as all the rainbow and sky walking and all that. And Yeshe Tsogyal, being very compassionate, she went and she started spitting on the 9 monks that died, and they resurrected. Also in another occasion in the book, this is how she would resurrect people. She would spit on them. Her saliva was so charged with ojas, with life energy, that she would resurrect them. And they resurrected, and it says there, and they were even wiser, or they were even better in the play of wisdom than before. So it was a bit of an upgrade of the system with this whole dying and then being resurrected. And she gets a bit angry, and she makes 1 bowl of fire with the right hand and 5 colored water with the left hand, and she tries somehow to scare the Bon magicians off. They retreat, and they decide to the next day to make a spell and destroy the city. They were very good in spells of destroying stuff. So she uses it's the mudra of the frightening mudra. I don't know how it looks. And she, in this way, cuts the tips of their fingers, because they would make the magic with the index finger, so just the tip of it, so that they could not do that magic. The ministers of the Bon retreat, and the ministers were also magicians themselves, and then the Bon magicians retreat somewhere, and they plan to destroy Tibet completely. And they would make hailstorms and so forth. It was very common also in later books. And they prepare for that magic. Yeshe Tsogyal is warned, and she creates an aura of protection. They make their magic, and then what happens is shock in return, and all their negative magic goes to them, and those who did the magic died. Padmashambava is asked what to do with the other Bon people, and he allows them to convert, and those who want to stay as these kind of shamanic black magician, they are deported to Mongolia. So Padmashambava does not want to kill anyone in the process. And that miracle competition and the presence of Padmashambava was so great and so amazing that basically, until today, Tibet is alive spiritually. Even with all the difficulties that it's had throughout the time, that spirit, that one tremendous event 1,300 years ago, and all the teachings and all the spiritual schools of initiation, and some we can trace master and disciple for centuries, that huge spiritual impulse stayed alive, and you can read today and see YouTubes of great Tibetan masters, and all from that great second Buddha, from the great Padmashambava.
Hey guys, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content on spirituality, tantra and more.
And if you want to sign up for our online classes or for our retreats, you can see our website on the description below.